He brought his mistress to my mom's birthday dinner, so I served her an eviction notice and him divorce papers right at the table. They had no idea I owned the apartment they were playing house in. I didn't plan on exposing him that night, but when he brought her to our family dinner like she belonged there, something in me snapped. Let me back up. My name's Sarah, I'm 32, and until 6 months ago, I thought I had the perfect marriage. Ethan and I had been together for 8 years, married for 5. We had the house, the careers, the whole suburban dream package. What I didn't have was a husband who respected me enough to keep his affairs private. Looking back, the signs were all there. Ethan started coming home later, claiming work was crazy busy. His phone became surgically attached to his hand, face down on every surface like it contained state secrets. He'd roll his eyes when I'd suggest date nights, calling me predictable and boring. "Sarah, you're so traditional," he'd say with this condescending laugh. "Not everyone wants to spend Friday night watching Netflix and ordering takeout." What Ethan didn't know was that while he was busy calling me boring, I was quietly building an empire. See, my grandmother left me some money when I turned 25, and instead of blowing it on a fancy car or vacation, I started investing in real estate. Small properties at first, then bigger ones. I kept it low-key, registered everything under my business LLC, Grandma Rose Properties. Ethan knew I had some rental income but had no idea about the scope. The apartment complex on Maple Street? Mine. The duplex downtown? Also mine. The trendy loft building where all the Instagram influencers lived? Yep, that was mine too. 3 months ago, I started noticing weird charges on our joint credit card. Expensive dinners at restaurants I'd never been to. Victoria's Secret purchases in sizes that definitely weren't mine. And then the big one, a recurring monthly charge for $2,400 to something called Urban Living Rentals. My blood ran cold. I knew that company. They managed properties for small landlords who didn't want to deal with tenant relations directly. Including me. I called them up, pretending to be checking on one of my units. "Oh yes, Mrs. Peterson. Unit 4B was rented out last month to a Mr. Ethan Mitchell. Lovely young couple, though the lease is only in his name." Couple. My husband was paying rent on an apartment I owned, for him and his side piece to play house in. The audacity was almost impressive. I could have confronted him then. Should have, probably. But something told me to wait. To watch. To gather evidence like my grandmother always said, "Sarah, baby, never go to war without ammunition." So I watched. I documented. I took screenshots of every suspicious charge, every late-night work emergency, every time he came home smelling like perfume that wasn't mine. And then came my mom's 60th birthday dinner. Mom had been planning this for weeks. Nothing fancy, just family, me, Ethan, my dad, my brother Jake, and Grandma Rose. Yes, the property empire was named after her. Mom made her famous lasagna, Dad bought the good wine, and I brought homemade tiramisu. It was supposed to be perfect. I was in the kitchen helping Mom with the garlic bread when I heard Ethan's voice in the foyer. "Everyone, I hope you don't mind, but I brought someone along. This is Jenna, we work together, and she didn't have anywhere to go tonight." I nearly dropped the bread pan. When I walked into the living room, I saw her. Jenna. 5'7", blonde highlights, Instagram perfect everything. She was wearing a red dress that probably cost more than my mom's monthly grocery budget, and she was standing just a little too close to my husband. "Hi everyone." Jenna chirped, flashing a smile that looked practiced in the mirror. "Ethan's told me so much about you all." My family looked confused. Dad raised an eyebrow. Jake's jaw actually dropped. Grandma Rose just stared with those sharp eyes that had seen through every lie I'd ever told as a kid. "Well," Mom said, ever the gracious hostess, "any friend of Ethan's is welcome. I'll set another place." Friend. Right. Dinner was torture. Jenna laughed too loud at everything Ethan said. She kept touching his arm when she talked. She complimented my mom's cooking while somehow making it sound like she could have done better. "This is so good, Mrs. Peterson. I mean, I usually eat organic everything because of my modeling work, but this is really nice for comfort food." My mom's smile got tighter. Dad refilled his wine glass. Jake excused himself to the bathroom and didn't come back for 15 minutes. But the worst part? Ethan was eating it up. He was more animated than I'd seen him in months, laughing at her stories about shoots and brand partnerships. He complimented her dress. He asked about her upcoming projects. He treated her like she mattered more than the woman sitting across from him, the woman who'd been supporting his dreams for 8 years while quietly building her own empire. "So Jenna," Grandma Rose said sweetly, "how long have you and Ethan been working together?" "Oh, about 4 months now. He's been such a mentor to me. Really showing me the ropes, you know? Jenna giggled, and I swear to God, she winked at him. 4 months. The same time those credit card charges started. I excused myself to use the bathroom, but instead I went upstairs to my childhood bedroom and called my lawyer. David Chen had handled my property purchases and knew my situation better than anyone. David? It's Sarah. Remember how we talked about setting up ironclad lease agreements for my properties? I need to know about Unit 4B in the Maple Street complex. The one that just got rented? Yeah, standard lease, no pets, no subletting, no cohabitation without written approval from the landlord. Why? Because my husband's been living there with his girlfriend, and neither of them knows I'm the landlord. There was a pause. Sarah, do you need me to draft some paperwork? 2 sets. Divorce papers and an eviction notice. I'll pick them up Monday. Consider it done. When I came back downstairs, I heard Jenna's voice from the kitchen. She was helping Mom clear plates, but her voice carried. You know, Mrs. Peterson, Ethan and I have gotten so close lately. He's my man, you know? Some women don't appreciate what they have. That was it. That was the moment something inside me shattered and reformed into something harder. I walked calmly to my purse, pulled out my phone, and made a call. David? I know it's Saturday night, but I need those papers tonight. Emergency rate, I don't care what it costs. 2 hours later, while Jenna was monopolizing the conversation with stories about her influencer lifestyle and Ethan was hanging on every word like she was reciting Shakespeare, I excused myself again. This time, I went to my car and waited. David Chen was nothing if not efficient. At 9:47 p.m., a courier pulled up with a manila envelope. Legal documents that would change everything. I walked back into my parents' house with a smile on my face and papers in my hand. Sorry everyone, I had to handle something for work, I said sweetly. But since we're all here, and since Jenna seems so comfortable with our family, I thought this would be the perfect time to give out some gifts. I handed the first set of papers to Jenna. Since you're living in that gorgeous apartment on Maple Street, yes, I know about it, here's your official lease termination notice. You have 14 days to vacate. The property management company will contact you Monday about your security deposit. Jenna's face went white. What? What are you talking about? Oh honey, I said, my voice dripping with fake concern, didn't Ethan tell you? That building belongs to me. Has for 2 years now. And according to your lease agreement, cohabitation without landlord approval is grounds for immediate termination. The room went dead silent. You could hear the grandfather clock ticking in the hallway. Then I turned to my husband. My soon-to-be ex-husband. And Ethan? Since you're so good at bringing surprises to family dinners, here's mine. I handed him the second envelope. Divorce papers. Irreconcilable differences, adultery, and misuse of marital funds. I'll see you in court. Ethan's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Sarah, what the hell? What the hell is right, Jake said, standing up from his chair. Dude, you brought your mistress to Mom's birthday dinner? She's not. We're just, Ethan stammered. You're just what? Grandma Rose asked, her voice sharp as a blade. Just disrespecting my granddaughter in front of her entire family? Just throwing away 8 years of marriage for some Instagram tramp? Hey. Jenna found her voice. You can't just kick me out. I have rights. I laughed. Actually laughed. Rights? Sweetie, you're a month-to-month tenant who violated her lease agreement. You have the right to pack your things and find somewhere else to live. Ethan. Jenna turned to him, tears starting to form. Tell her she can't do this. But Ethan was staring at the divorce papers like they might disappear if he looked hard enough. Sarah. Can we talk about this privately? Nope. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. You wanted to make this public by bringing her here. So now it's public. Mom, Dad, thank you for dinner. It was illuminating. As I reached the door, I turned back one more time. Oh, and Jenna? Next time you want to steal someone's husband, maybe don't move into an apartment they own. Just a little life advice from someone who's clearly more boring and traditional than you thought. The last thing I heard as I walked to my car was Jenna screaming at Ethan about how he'd ruined everything and my grandmother's voice cutting through the chaos. Well, this is the most excitement we've had at a family dinner in years. I drove home to our empty house, poured myself a glass of the expensive wine Ethan had been saving for a special occasion, and started planning my new life. Because if he thought the dinner was bad, he had no idea what was coming next. They thought I was bluffing. Ethan begged, Jenna screamed, and I didn't even flinch. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Apparently, the reality of their situation had finally sunk in overnight. Ethan's messages started apologetic. Sarah, please, we need to talk. This is all a huge misunderstanding. Then they got desperate. I made a mistake. She means nothing. We can work this out. And finally, angry, you can't just destroy my life because you're jealous and vindictive. Jenna's messages were different. She started with threats, you can't just kick me out. I'll sue you. Then bargaining, I'll pay extra rent. I'll move out in a month. Please don't do this to me. And finally, the truth, Ethan said he was leaving you anyway. He said you were boring and that he loved me. You're just mad because he chose me. I screenshotted everything and forwarded it to David Chen. Evidence for the divorce proceedings. By Monday morning, I was sitting in David's office with a coffee and a plan. So let me get this straight, David said, reviewing my files. Your husband has been using marital funds to rent an apartment you own, to conduct an affair, and he brought the other woman to your family dinner? That's the basic summary, yes. And neither of them knew you owned the building? Nope. I bought it 2 years ago under Grandma Rose Properties LLC. My grandmother helped me get started in real estate investing after she left me that inheritance. I've been building a portfolio ever since, but I kept it quiet. Ethan knew I had some rental income, but he never asked for details, and I never volunteered them. David shook his head. This is either the worst luck in the world or the best karma I've ever seen. How many properties do you own? 12. 4 apartment complexes, 3 duplexes, 5 single-family homes. Total value around $2.8 million, all of it separate property acquired before and during marriage with inherited funds and rental income. And Ethan has no claim to any of it? None. Every purchase was made through the LLC with separate funds. I have all the documentation. David grinned. Sarah, I've been practicing family law for 20 years, and I've never seen a case this clean-cut. You're going to walk away from this divorce very, very well. While David worked on the legal side, I had other business to handle. I drove to the Maple Street property to check on my tenants. The building was nice. I'd renovated it the year before with granite countertops, hardwood floors, and modern appliances. It was the kind of place young professionals paid premium prices to live in. Unit 4B was on the 4th floor, corner unit with a view of the park. I used my master key to let myself in for a landlord inspection. The place was a mess. Jenna's clothes were everywhere, expensive makeup scattered across my bathroom counters, and there were professional photography lights set up in the living room. She was apparently running her Instagram business out of my apartment. I took photos of everything, including the ring light setup and the backdrop she'd mounted on my walls without permission. More lease violations. My phone rang while I was documenting the damage to my hardwood floors from her stiletto heels. Hello? You bitch. Jenna's voice was shrill through the speaker. I know you're in my apartment. I saw your car. It's my apartment, Jenna. I'm conducting a property inspection. And based on what I'm seeing, you owe me a security deposit for damages, plus fees for unauthorized business use and wall modifications. You can't just. I can, actually. It's in the lease you signed. Section 12, subsection C. No business activities without written approval from the landlord. And Section 8, no modifications to the property without consent. You've violated both. There was silence, then, Ethan. Ethan, she's here. She's in the apartment. I heard Ethan's voice in the background, then he got on the phone. Sarah, this is harassment. You can't just break into our place. It's not your place, Ethan. It's my place. You've been paying rent to live in my building. Also, just so we're clear, you've been using our joint credit card to pay for an apartment I own, to cheat on me with a woman who's now been legally evicted. The irony is almost artistic. I didn't know you owned this place. Of course you didn't. You never bothered to ask about my business interests. You were too busy calling me boring and traditional while I was building an empire. I heard Jenna in the background. What does she mean, her empire? And that's when I realized they still didn't understand the scope of what they were dealing with. Ethan, sweetie, let me explain something to you. Remember when you used to joke about my little rental properties? Those little properties are worth almost $3 million. I own 12 buildings in this city, including the trendy loft complex where half of Jenna's influencer friends live. I am, quite literally, one of their landlords. The silence on the other end was beautiful. You're lying, Jenna said, but her voice was shaky. Am I? Ethan, remember when you made fun of me for spending so much time with Grandma Rose before she died? Those weren't just social visits. She was teaching me about real estate investment. She helped me buy my first property with the inheritance she left me, and I've been reinvesting the profits ever since. I had no idea. Of course you didn't. You were too busy thinking I was this boring housewife while I was becoming the kind of woman who owns the building you're standing in. I hung up and finished my inspection. The apartment would need professional cleaning, floor refinishing, and wall repair. I added it all to Jenna's growing bill. That afternoon, I got a call from my property management company. Mrs. Peterson? We've been getting some interesting calls about Unit 4B. The tenant is claiming you can't evict her because she's going to sue you for discrimination? I laughed. Discrimination against what? Homewreckers? People who damage hardwood floors with stilettos? Let her sue. I have a legal eviction notice, documented lease violations, and a very good lawyer. She also said something about her boyfriend owning the building? Her boyfriend has been renting the apartment. With money stolen from his wife. Who owns the building? It's been a very enlightening few days. By Wednesday, Jenna had hired a lawyer. Some guy who specialized in tenant rights and probably took her case thinking he could bully a small-time landlord into backing down. Big mistake. The lawyer called David, who conferenced me in. Ms. Peterson, my client has legitimate concerns about this eviction. She believes it's retaliatory and discriminatory. Retaliatory against what? I asked sweetly. The fact that she's sleeping with my husband? That's not a protected class under fair housing law. She also claims the eviction notice is invalid because she wasn't given proper notice of the landlord's identity. David jumped in. Actually, the lease clearly states that the property is managed by Urban Living Rentals on behalf of Grandma Rose Properties LLC. All communication goes through the management company. My client's identity as the owner is irrelevant to the lease agreement. Furthermore, I added, your client has violated multiple lease provisions. I have photographic evidence of unauthorized business activities, property damage, and unapproved modifications. She's lucky I'm only evicting her instead of suing for damages. The lawyer's tone changed. What kind of damages are we talking about? Floor refinishing, wall repair, deep cleaning, lost rental income while repairs are made. Probably around $8,000. But I'm willing to waive the fees if she vacates voluntarily by the end of the week. There was a long pause. We'll get back to you. They didn't get back to us. Instead, Jenna showed up at my office Thursday afternoon. I worked part-time at a marketing firm downtown, mostly because I enjoyed the work, not because I needed the money. When the receptionist told me I had a visitor, I expected a client. I did not expect to see Jenna standing in our lobby in workout clothes and oversized sunglasses, looking like she'd been crying. We need to talk, she said. No, we really don't. Please. Just 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I led her to a conference room. Ethan lied to me, she started, pulling off the sunglasses to reveal red, puffy eyes. He told me you guys were separated. He said you were getting divorced anyway, and that you were just staying together for financial reasons. And you believed him? He was so convincing. He said you didn't love each other anymore, that it was just a matter of paperwork. He made it sound like I was helping him escape an unhappy marriage. I stared at her. Jenna, he brought you to my mother's birthday dinner. If we were separated, don't you think my family would have known? She crumpled. I didn't think about that. I really thought he loved me. He said he'd never felt this way before, that I was everything he'd been looking for. Despite everything, I felt a tiny spark of sympathy for her. She was young, stupid, and she'd been played by an expert. How old are you, Jenna? 28. I'm 32. When I met Ethan, I was 24 and he told me the exact same things. That I was special, that he'd never felt this way, that I was everything he'd been looking for. The difference is, he actually married me. She looked up, hopeful. So you understand. I understand that you're not the first, and you won't be the last. But that doesn't change the fact that you participated in blowing up an 8-year marriage. You still have to move out of my apartment. I don't have anywhere to go. All my friends think I'm this horrible person now. My Instagram followers are down by 30,000. Nobody will work with me. How do your followers know about this? She flushed. Someone filmed the dinner thing and posted it on TikTok. It went viral. Mistress gets evicted by the wife who owns her apartment. It has like 2 million views. I pulled out my phone and searched. Sure enough, there it was. Jake had filmed the whole thing and posted it with a caption when keeping it real goes wrong. The comments were brutal. Oh no, I said, but I wasn't really sorry. My modeling career is over. Nobody wants to work with someone who's known as a homewrecker. I've been living off savings and whatever Ethan gives me, but now you're learning that actions have consequences. She nodded miserably. I know you hate me, but please. Can I just have until the end of the month? I'll pay extra rent, I'll fix whatever I damaged, I just need time to figure out where to go. I looked at this girl, and she was just a girl, really, who'd gotten caught up in my husband's lies and was now paying the price. The smart thing would have been to say no. To stick to my guns and let her figure it out. But I thought about what Grandma Rose would have done. She was tough as nails, but she was also fair. 2 weeks, I said finally. You can have 2 weeks, but I want the professional cleaning fee up front, and I want you to remove all that photography equipment today. No more Instagram shoots in my apartment. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet. Because I'm about to tell you something that's going to ruin your week. She looked up nervously. Ethan's been texting me, begging for another chance. Apparently, now that he knows about my financial situation, he's very interested in working things out. Her face went pale. What? Turns out, boring traditional wives who own $3 million in real estate are suddenly very attractive to him. He wouldn't. He said he loved me. Jenna, honey, men like Ethan don't love anyone but themselves. You were useful when you made him feel young and exciting. I'm useful because I have money. Neither of us matters to him as actual people. She started crying again, and despite everything, I handed her a tissue. What am I going to do? She sobbed. You're going to learn from this. You're going to find a job that doesn't depend on your Instagram following. You're going to date men who are actually available. And you're going to remember that if someone will cheat with you, they'll cheat on you. She nodded, wiping her eyes. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I really am. I didn't set out to hurt anyone. I know you didn't. But you did anyway. That night, Ethan showed up at the house. Our house, technically, though after the divorce it would just be mine. Another thing he'd never bothered to ask about, whose name was on the deed. Sarah, we need to talk. No, Ethan, we really don't. I made a mistake. A huge, terrible mistake. But we can fix this. I looked at him standing on the porch where he used to live, holding flowers from the grocery store like they could undo 8 months of betrayal. You want to fix this now? After I filed for divorce? After you brought your girlfriend to my mother's birthday party? She doesn't mean anything to me. Ethan, you spent $8,000 of our money setting up a love nest for her in my building. You told her I was boring and traditional. You said our marriage was over anyway. Which part of that suggests she didn't mean anything? He stepped closer. I was confused. Going through a midlife crisis or something. But seeing you the other night. God, Sarah, I forgot how strong you are. How smart. How successful. And there it was. The real reason he wanted me back. You didn't know I was successful before? I mean, I knew you did well with your little rental business, but I had no idea it was what you said. $3 million? Almost 3 million. And it's not little, Ethan. It's been supporting our lifestyle for years while you spent money on your girlfriend. I can change. I can be the husband you deserve. You could have been the husband I deserved for the last 8 years. You chose not to be. Sarah, please. I love you. I laughed. Actually laughed. You love my bank account. If I was still the broke 24-year-old you married, would you be here right now? His silence was answer enough. That's what I thought. The papers are filed, Ethan. Find somewhere else to sleep tonight. He left, but not before trying one more guilt trip about throwing away our whole life together. As if he hadn't thrown it away the minute he decided I wasn't enough for him. The divorce proceedings moved quickly. David wasn't kidding when he said it was a clean case. Ethan's lawyer tried to argue for spousal support and a share of my property portfolio, but it was hopeless. Everything was documented, everything was separate property, and everything was about to be mine alone. The final hearing was on a Friday morning in October. Ethan showed up in his best suit, probably hoping to make a good impression on the judge. His lawyer had clearly told him his chances were slim. Judge Morrison reviewed our settlement agreement. Mrs. Mitchell, you're retaining all real estate assets acquired through Grandma Rose Properties LLC, correct? Yes, Your Honor. And Mr. Mitchell, you're waiving any claim to spousal support? Ethan's jaw was tight. Yes, Your Honor. And both parties agreed to the division of remaining marital assets as outlined in the settlement? We both agreed. Ethan got his car, his 401k, and half the furniture. I got everything else, including the house, which was also in my name. Very well. Divorce granted. Just like that, it was over. I walked out of that courthouse a free woman with a net worth of $3.2 million and a very clear understanding of my own value. That afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. Hi, this is Marcus Chen, David's cousin. Got your number from David. Hope that's okay. I saw your TikTok story and wanted to reach out. I was dating Jenna too. She told me she was single. Thought you should know she was cheating on your husband while he was cheating on you. Karma's a real bitch, isn't it? I showed the text to Jake, who was helping me move Ethan's stuff out of my house. Holy shit, he said. She was dating 3 people at once? Apparently. What are you going to do? I thought about it for about 30 seconds, then forwarded Marcus's text to Ethan. His response came immediately, "What the fuck?" Followed by, "She told me she loved me." And finally, "I threw away my marriage for a woman who was cheating on me?" I replied, "Yes. Yes, you did. No refunds. No second chances." Then I blocked his number. 6 months later, I was sitting in my newly renovated kitchen, marble countertops, Italian tile backsplash, the works, when my doorbell rang. It was Jenna. She looked different. Smaller somehow. Her hair was back to its natural brown, she was wearing jeans and a sweater instead of designer everything, and she looked healthier. "Hi," she said nervously. "I know I'm probably the last person you want to see, but I wanted to give you this." She handed me an envelope. Inside was a check for $3,000. "It's not everything I owe you for the damage to the apartment, but it's a start. I got a job. Marketing coordinator at a nonprofit. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work." I looked at the check, then at her. "Jenna, you didn't have to do this." "Yes, I did. What I did was wrong, and I needed to make it right. Or start to, anyway." "What happened with Marcus?" She flushed. "You heard about that? Ethan wasn't happy when he found out you were dating other people while you were dating him." "I was a mess," she said quietly. "I was dating 3 different guys, trying to figure out which one could give me the lifestyle I wanted. I wasn't thinking about anyone but myself. It was selfish and stupid, and I hurt a lot of people. Including yourself." "Yeah. Including myself." She looked around at my house, the successful woman's house that I'd built with my own money and my own work. "I'm sorry, Sarah. For all of it. You didn't deserve what we did to you." "No, I didn't. For what it's worth, I learned from it. I'm in therapy now. Trying to figure out why I thought I needed a man to take care of me instead of taking care of myself. I looked at this young woman who'd helped blow up my marriage, who'd called my grandmother a bitch, who'd damaged my property and cost me thousands of dollars in repairs. And I felt proud of her. "Keep the check," I said, handing it back to her. "What? No, I can't." "Yes, you can. Consider it an investment in your future." "But Jenna?" "Yeah?" "Next time you meet a married man who says he's going to leave his wife, remember this conversation." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I will. I promise." After she left, I sat in my beautiful kitchen in my beautiful house that I owned outright, and I thought about the last year of my life. I'd lost a husband, but I'd gained something more valuable, the knowledge of what I was worth. Not just financially, but personally. I was the woman who'd built an empire while her husband called her boring. I was the woman who'd faced down betrayal with legal papers and property deeds. I was the woman who'd turned the worst day of her marriage into the first day of her real life. My phone buzzed. A text from Jake: "Sunday dinner at Mom and Dad's? They want to hear about the new property you bought." I smiled and typed back, "I'll bring dessert. And champagne. We have a lot to celebrate." Because I did have a lot to celebrate. My real estate portfolio was growing. My business was thriving. And best of all, I was free to build the life I actually wanted, instead of the life someone else thought I should settle for. Ethan texted me one more time, about a month after the divorce was final. I'd unblocked him to coordinate the last of the paperwork, and he took it as an invitation to try again. I know I messed up. But what we had was real. Don't you miss it at all? I looked at that text for a long time. Did I miss it? Did I miss being called boring and traditional while I built an empire? Did I miss having my success minimized and my dreams dismissed? Did I miss being cheated on and lied to and taken for granted? I typed back, "I miss who I thought you were. But that person never actually existed." Then I blocked him again. For good this time. These days, my life looks very different. I still work at the marketing firm, but only because I love the work. I still invest in real estate, but now I do it openly, proudly. I've started a mentorship program for young women who want to learn about property investment. Grandma Rose would be proud. And yes, I'm dating again. His name is Tom, he's a teacher, and when I told him about my business on our second date, his response was, "That's incredible. You must be so proud of what you've built." He was right. I am proud. I'm proud of the portfolio I built in secret. I'm proud of the way I handled my divorce. I'm proud of the woman I became when my marriage fell apart. But mostly, I'm proud that I learned my worth, and I learned it from the people who tried to convince me I was worthless. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. Sometimes the best revenge is living so well that your enemies can't help but see what they gave up. And every time I drive past that apartment building on Maple Street, I smile and remember the night I served divorce papers at my mother's birthday dinner. It wasn't the evening any of us planned, but it was exactly the evening I needed. After all, I may be boring and traditional, but I'm also rich, successful, and free. And that's a pretty good trade-off.